Okay, so now I've gone through the process of having the silk screen sitting in the bath of water and then running under the water with using a brush to try to get the image to come out as far as the silk screen goes. The areas that you see that are white are the open areas that I'm going to use some black glaze to when I use the silk screen. One thing that happened, the antenna did not fully develop because of it being such a fine line, as well as the legs. So what I'll do once I actually use the silk screen, I'm going to paint those lines in. But you can see the comparison between, and I'll flip it so that it's actually a better comparison, but you can, no, there we go, that to that. You can see the difference between the image that we used to create the silk screen and the actual silk screen that came out. Did pretty good. So now the last step before I can actually use it is to set it outside on a paper towel. What I want to do is kind of feel it to make sure I'm putting the right side up. When you feel the recessed areas, this is the area that had the emulsion on it. So this is the side that we want to have facing up. And so this will just go outside for about 15 minutes to get one last shot of sun that will fix the whole silk screen. All right, now we're down to the finish line. We've got some finished silk screens that I made today. Usually what I do when I'm working on the silk screens is I won't just do one, I'll do a bunch of them, just because the process, once you get going, it really lends itself to kind of dovetailing one off the next. So what I have is the original one that's to the right, the large image of the butterfly, and then I have a hand drawing that I did of a cat that's in the middle, and then I have the smaller version of the butterfly over to the far left. So these three silk screens, Photo Easy silk screens, I'm going to now actually put them to work as silk screen. And really what I do, it's not silk screen, it's more stencil. How I use these. The glaze that I used is Mako Stroke and Coat, and when I'm going for the black, I use the Tuxedo SC15. It's a nice thick consistency glaze, and doesn't end up bleeding into the other colors, because usually what I do with these is I'll add extra glazes or underglazes to the piece. What I've also got here, just for the purposes of this demonstration, are some bisque tiles as well as a bisque mug. And in addition to the glaze, I have a pretty short, stiff bristled brush that works well with stenciling. It's important to use a glaze that's thicker, because what will end up happening is if you use a thinner, runnier glaze, it's going to run under the silk screen and end up making a real mess for you. So you want to use as thick a glaze as you can. Just think in terms of what printmakers use and how they use that thicker ink that they run through the silkscreen press. The kit comes with a squeegee that would work if you're using this more as a stencil, but because I'm not using it as a stencil, no, as a silk screen, because I'm using it more as a stencil than a silk screen, I use the stiffer bristle brush. And then also some blue painter's tape, just in case you want to tape it down to make it easier. I use the blue painter's tape especially if I'm working with a mug or something that's round. Also, what I found that works best for me, because a lot of the silkscreen type that I use are the standard, which is actually a heavier feeling stencil. the standard don't lend themselves well to wrapping around any extra curves. So anything more than a cylinder is going to be difficult, not impossible, but difficult. If your image is real small, then you'd be able to do it easier. But if you're working with, say, the 4x6 or 8x10 size silk screen, it's going to be a little harder. Using the brush, what I'm going to do is take the silk screen and just lay it on top of the tile, and I can see pretty much how the image is going to relate to the surface of the tile. And for this, because it is such a large silk screen, I'm not going to do any taping. What will end up happening is as I am dabbing in the glaze, that's going to kind of hold things down, and then also I'm just holding it down with my fingers. So I'm just going over this with that black glaze and getting it in to the areas. And because this is you know, pretty open mesh, it goes right in. I don't have to do extra coats on this. It's just pretty much getting it in there, and wherever the silk screen is touching the tile, making sure that gets the glaze application. One of the things I like about using the standard versus the high definition is that it really does show the weave of the silk screen, and I think that's a really neat element that this adds to the piece. So now I'm just going to peel it off very easily, and there's my tile. And so kind of a neat abstract image of the wing, and I'm really happy with the way that turned out. And then once you're done with your silk screen, you just rinse it off with water and then dry it on a paper towel. Now I want to just do one more. This was an image that I drew out earlier today, and so I want to see how this guy comes out. So I'm just going to do the same thing. And what I will do, you know, they say not to use both sides, but I do, because there are times where I want it to be oriented a certain way, and the only way to do that is to flip it. And I've had no problems with the silk screen breaking down or any of the image coming off. So I would say, you know, the quality of these is very, very good. One thing that I noticed in today's demonstration is that I have a new set of silk screens, and I took a quick look at the instructions and see that there is a new timetable. So what you want to do when you're actually doing your first set of silk screens is take a look and see what your exposure time is when it's out in the sun. Is it going to tell you that it needs the 5 minutes like I used, or is it going to want the 1 minute, which is what the new ones are showing. Now this is what I was talking about as far as how I orient it. And this is where the painter's tape would come in. What I do is I just take a little bit of painter's tape to try to hold the image in place. And just tape it down, and try not to tape over the areas that I'm going to be stenciling. So got that pretty well taped down, and because this is a perfect cylinder, I don't have any bubbles or anything like that. It's pretty smooth. So then I'll just do the same thing that I did with those, and just pounce it like I would if it was a stencil. And if I wanted, let's say if I wanted to use a different color, I mean there's nothing that locks you into black. I just use black as my base color, and then what I would do is I would come back and fill in with a different color in some of the situations. Like with the cat, I'll come back with chartreuse for the eyes and pink for the nose and red for the heart, and then I might go back with some gold for the collar. And then I'm just going to peel up the tape, and there I've got that side, and then wash this off and flip it over and use it for the other side of the mug. So I would do a set of 2 wings on the mug. So that pretty much sums up Photo Easy Silkscreen, and like I've said before, it's amazing how easy this is and how much this can add to your toolbox as far as different things that you can do with your pottery. So thanks a lot for checking in, and if anybody has any questions, you can contact me through the